Hello, hello, hello. Are we on? Are we cooking? I think we're cooking. Just wait for a bit. Touch the mic. Well, I'm going to assume it's working anyway. We look fine? We look fine. All right, awesome. So today I was thinking we should implement this GitLab issue I've got open here. Basically, I have been for a while, pardon, with Linux. We've been on the Wii U with Linux Wii U. We've been hard coding the root FS to SDA1, which is pretty inconvenient for pretty much everyone. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to spend a couple hours going and fixing it up, and yeah, making all that happen. So I think we should get straight into it. Just let me open up a few things on my computer over here. Oh, crud. Okay, hang on a second. So yeah, we're gonna go through. We're gonna implement the changes in this issue here that I've been sort of tabling for a while, but we're actually good to go and do it now. So let's go and do it. Okie dokie. So my plan thus far is that we are going to put an INI. We're going to use .ini files, which are everyone's favorite file format, I think. We're going to use .ini files to determine how Linux Wii U is going to boot up. So first thing we need to do is we need to form a bit of an action plan, but I've already done that in my head. So you guys will just see as we go, I suppose. So I suppose we should get started. The first thing I want to do is, because we're using INI files, I'm thinking we should use a library like INIH here, which is a really simple program that will just take an INI in and sort of read it for you and format it for you. So that was my thought. We could use INIH. So let's get started. Over here I have the Linux loaded code base. There are some changes we're going to have to make, which will be fun, but we'll get there when we get there. First things first, let's do INIH. So I don't know where I'm going to put that. I'm probably going to put it in common. It's just easiest there. So first we're going to just download INIH and stick it in our in the repo in with Linux loader. That's the .c. And once we've done that and gotten this in it ready to use in the loader, we should be able to add this feature. And this feature will let you, being able to have a config file means you can also choose what your root FS is, and you can customize your kernel command line and all these wonderful things that people who like Linux also like to do. All right, so am I going to have to change the make file? I don't think I will. No, maybe. Maybe I might actually. We will see. We will try it first, but I may have to add arm/utils to this this make file. What am I looking at? Right, okay, so let's go over here. This is the application. This is the main part. This is what does, when you boot Linux loader, this is what code runs, and you see on the screen, here's trying to load kernel from this location. So we want to go right up here above everything else, and we're going to add in our INI parsing code. So let me just import let's just import the INIH. Oh, it's ini.h. Oh, well, I'm so sorry. Oh, crud. What have I done? Okay. All right, so I don't actually know how to use INIH, so this will be interesting. We're gonna be doing this from scratch. We're gonna be figuring things out as we go, hey? And that'll be interesting. So here's an example. Okay, we can do that. So what we need to do is configuration boot config. So basically, there's going to be some struct somewhere that we're making. I'm basically just copying this example code, and with any luck, it should be pretty easy to get working. So SD Linux. What did we decide to call it? Boot.cfg sounds nicer. But obviously this can be changed pretty easily. Then we're gonna need a handler and a pointer to that structure. Okay, that's fine. So we're gonna leave that handler for later, and we're gonna make a point to this. That is fine by me, and we check it's less than 0, and we do some sort of fail. And hopefully we can, if that happens, we can figure out what caused it. All right, so what we've just done is we've told it we're going to parse that INI file, and if it doesn't work, chuck a tizzy. But what we need in here is we need to write a handler where I've got the cursor here. We need to put something in there to receive all our INI settings and stuff. So basically, this library works by calling a function for every config value that it finds, which is interesting, but we can make it work. So let's get going. I'm going to need to write some structures, and we're just going to have to do what we can here. So up here, I'm going to go type def. Actually, no, I don't need to worry about that. Struct. What are we going to call it? Loader config. So this structure is going to be for this section here, the loader section of the example config file. That's the basic idea. So we're going to make the struct, and in this struct, we're going to need to have what? A default profile. That's pretty simple. We might have to look into hash maps or something in order to pick out our profile. Or maybe we'll parse with an R, parse that into an index. I don't know. We'll think of something. So, alrighty. So we have our loader config. That's what we want to get out of the INI first up. So that's what we need to write our handle to do. So what does that need to look like, INIH? It needs to look like static int. Okay, static int pointer? No. Static int config handler. I might just make wonderful use of i3 and do this. There we go. And so we don't have to keep flipping back and forth all the time, do we? Config handler, and it takes a void pointer user. So I'm just copying out the sort of the example code, and then we're gonna fiddle with it a bit later in terms of copying things out and all that. Do you mind Sublime? Alrighty. No. Yeah, I've been trying Sublime Text lately. It has a lot of ads in it, which I wasn't expecting. So what do we get given? We get given a section, a name, and a value. Okay. So if strcomp, stringcomp, Between what? Between me and section. So we want the section to be named loader, and we want the section that it gives us. Damn it! I can't type today. Is that what they do? It's not quite, but it's close enough. So here they are. Yeah, we're just going to check if our section is loader, which, if you remember from over here, we have the loader section as the first one in the file. So that's going to contain all the settings for the loader. You know, which profile should I choose? We've sort of designed this to be flexible if we ever add a boot menu. Hopefully the format will allow for that. So yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. All right, so if we're in the loader section, then what we need to look for is if it is default, it's called. I've called it default. So if string comp default name equals 0, then woohoo and all that. What are we going to do? We are going to dupe the string. That seems pretty fair. Although, how does strdrop actually work? Is it safe? That feels like the sort of function that either relies on malloc or it's unsafe. Which does worry me a little. So let's just quickly have a look at the reference for strdrop, which is what they recommend we use. Right, so we have to free it, which means it uses malloc, which probably we don't have access to. I will take a punt on that and say that we don't have access to malloc. So we will use string copy instead by doing this. How long does a profile name need to be? Gee, no longer than 64. Nobody needs more than 64 characters. Alright, string copy. Crap, how does this function work again? It's destination, then source. Yeah, so let's just make a version of the loader config. There you go. We'll just equals whatever. Gotta make it equal to something. Loader config dot default profile, and we're going to copy in the value, and we're only going to copy size of loader config dot default profile. That looks like pretty good code to me. I don't see a problem with that yet. Yet is the word of the day. We probably will see one before long. Can I get rid of this folders view? I can. Cool. Yeah, so I don't see a problem with that yet. We need to see if it compiles, obviously, and then we will test to see if it actually works. So we're going to finish off putting that in. So let's just give it that handler. So now this function will actually get called. And then once we've parsed the boot config, I should be able to go printf something default profile is %s, and that's going to be loader config.default profile. I might actually use sprintf up here. I'll decide on that later. I like to think sprintf is a bit safer, but it's really not. Alrighty. Loader config default profile, so that should be fine. And I'm just going to drop a while one down here as well, so we don't accidentally miss it. Because I don't want to miss a thing. Alright, so let's compile that. What we're going to have to do is I'm going to have to start a Docker instance up. What fun. Damn it. There we go. So let me just get that running. sudo docker run itv if I remember that is the right command. I do believe it is on the... oops. That is supposed to be rm, and that is supposed to be run. Okay, awesome. So we're now at a shell, and this should have everything we need to compile. Yeah, you can see that's all in there. I've got instructions for this Docker image up on the GitLab README. So if you want to use it, feel free. It'll be nice and efficient. Oh man! Okay, so we've started off well, and we're going to have to fix it a bit. Okie dokie. I just out of curiosity, it doesn't already have an INI parser in it, does it? There's no reason it would. No, and no. Okay, never mind. So yeah, I shouldn't have called these INI. I named these wrong. So we're gonna name these correctly. You can see this error up here where it says it's trying to include ini.h, and that doesn't exist because I misnamed the headers. Alrighty, so okay, have a look over here. You can see I don't have a semicolon. I'm missing a semicolon. And that semicolon will go there. This is just one of those things you have to do, you know, whenever you write any code, it's going to be awfully broken for a while until you can get everything fixed. Alright, and the string functions are declared implicitly, are they? So let's add those string functions, and with any luck that should work now. There's a printf down there that we need to fix. Where is it? Here. Is that everything? Are we done? No, not quite. Because I renamed the INI file, we need to change it up here as well. Still not compiling. Too few arguments to stringcomp. Yes, that's right, because I was thinking of strcomp, not stringcomp. Alright, there you go. Alright, one last thing. Config handler needs to return a value. You can see that one there. And the INIH said to use configuration, but that's not what's happened. So that's good. Okay, no, I see what it's done. Actually, I agree with what the INIH has done better. So just let me refactor my code a little bit. Actually, no, we can't do that. So that's not actually something provided by INIH, so we don't need to worry about it. That's something we use up here, and that it's fine on its own. So still not going to compile. Config handler needs to return a value, doesn't it? Or does it need to return 1 on success? Okay, I can do that. Are we good yet? No, because I haven't set up the... Do I have my compile.shell script? Okay, this is going to be good. I don't actually have the keys in this. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't entirely feel like risking the wrath of Nintendo today, is I'm going to fix that, but I'm going to do it in a way that I'm just going to do it quietly and secretly, and you're not going to be able to know, because I'm going to change the source. So you can go look at my incredibly washed out Wii U for a second while I fix up those keys. Apologies about that. What can you do? Where are my keys? Where are my keys? Where are my keys? Okay, so if I look in this file and this website... I don't know how much Nintendo really cares anymore anyway. Like, it's not like it's a big friggin' deal where they're like, ooh, you know, you're gonna be moided. You're gonna be moided. Yeah? Yeah, I don't think they really care anymore. But I just want to be safe. I don't feel like risking that today. I already risk it often enough. So we're just going to sort those keys out. Yeah, I'm just filling up time here because I need some time to edit the Python file to have the keys in it. And I don't have time to do that, but we got to do it. Yeah, okay, copy that. Get out of this window. It has all the keys. You can't see my secret key stash. Alright, are we done? I think we're done. Okay, sorry about that. We'll just come back to my laptop now. Yeah, alright, let's try compiling that again. Here we go. And awesome. Looks like that worked a treat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the Wii U and we're going to copy that firmware image over to the SD card. And we can give it a test. Also, we're going to have to write an INI file on the SD card. Just give me a moment while I go grab an SD card reader. I've got one. Alright, so I should be able to just copy that firmware image over to the SD card. And we should be good to go. Come on. There we go. The SD card can be a bit fiddly to get in, so let's just mount it. Awesome. And if we head into code, Linux loader, we should have this firmware image here, which I can copy and stick in the SD card of the Wii U. Also in here, we're going to need to go into Linux. We're going to open a terminal and we're going to run nano boot.config. Did we decide on boot.config? Yes, sd/linux/boot.config. So we should be able to write loader default equals test 1 2 3. So with any luck that will have worked, and we can go and yeah, we can boot that and we'll give it a shot. So cross your fingers, everybody. We'll swap over to the Wii U display. Now this is going to be really hard to see on stream. I've done my best, but it is composite video and tiny text. So yeah, hopefully, as I said, I've put some filtering on the signal to make it a little better, but it's not going to be great. But don't worry, I'll read things out for you, and you should be able to somewhat see what's happening. All right, so we're booting up into that now. Okay. We have, it says fail, unfortunately, down the bottom. Under ready, it says fail. So something went a bit wrong. Presumably, it couldn't open the file, perhaps? I don't really know for sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to my laptop, which is this button. We're going to change this to keep track of whatever INI pass returned, so we can know what went wrong, and then we can print that out. So let's just print that out, and with any luck, now we should be able to see what's happening. You know. So let's compile that. Okay. Oh, we actually do have a variable we can use, res, up here. All right. All right, sorry, we're just fixing some things up. I did mean res, thank you. Res is sort of short for result. Alrighty. Let's try that again. So now we've actually got logging. We should be able to tell what the error was. And with any luck... Come on, get in there. My SD card reader is a bit faulty. With any luck, it should work. It's still not playing nice. Come on. Sorry, my SD card reader, man. It's the worst. It's the worst. Okay, cool. It mounted. It actually did it. So if we go... Do we have a history section? No, okay. If we go to Linux loader, firmware.image, let's copy that over. I don't want to look at boot. I want to look at this. Alright, fingers crossed. With any luck, we'll be able to get an error code that we can identify. It could be any number of things, but I'm pretty sure the file functions work fine here in Linux Loader, so I'm not sure what's going wrong. Hopefully it should be something pretty simple. Like maybe I messed up the format or something. Oh, we're gonna let you look at the Wii U, hey. So let's boot the firmware image on the Wii U, fingers crossed, and we should be able to see what's happening. It has returned -1. Okay. Right, let's head back over to my laptop. We're looking at the INIH source code, and we should be able to use it to tell us what returning -1 means. So let's have a look. Okay, so it could be a few things. If it's here and it can't open the file, it returns -1. So let's go move up to INI parse file. Parse file, where is it? Stream. Right, okay. Uses fgets on INI parse stream. So does this return -1 ever? No, okay. So that means it couldn't open the file. It ran fopen. It didn't work. So I've done something wrong here, and I can already tell you what it is because I'm stupid. On the PowerPC side, that path would have been right, but here it's SDMC. So let's add MC, and now that path should work. It's just one of those really silly things. You can't win them all, as they say. But yeah, now this is gonna be a lot of doing this. We're gonna be like, now it'll work, and now it'll work. But seriously, we will get it working eventually. That's just the way programming is. You will get it going eventually. It just depends on how much effort you want to put in. Whether you can bear it. And honestly, the thing I can't bear right now is this SD card reader. It just makes contact for half a second and then loses it. And unmounts the SD card. It's the worst. Okay, are we good? Is it good? It's good. Alright. Hang on. Right. Copy. Paste. Alrighty. Fingers crossed. This time for sure, and all that. Here comes the Wii. Oh, when did the camera fall down? I'm using a fancy camera as a microphone. Sorry if that was loud when that happened. I'll put it somewhere a bit more stable. Just give us a moment. Alright, that should be a lot better. Sorry about that. Alright, here we go. Booting the firmware image. Here we go. And it looks like it worked. It's a bit tough for you to see, but you'll see that that very bottom line says test 1 2 3 on it at the end there. It is a bit difficult. I wonder if I can improve that somewhat for you. Just give me a moment. What if we turned up the sharpening filter. No, it's just a mess. You can't really see it. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is with composite video. You can't really win it all. You do your best, but sometimes your video is just crap. But no, yeah, it does say test 1, 2, 3, which means that we have actually successfully read that INI file. So we're ready to keep moving with the code then. That took not nearly as long as I was expecting. So let's keep moving. We also want, based on our... This is where it gets a little more complicated. Based on the issue, where is it? So basically, I'm working off this issue I filed a while ago as a reference of how this should look. So based on this issue, we need to have profile, then the name of the profile. That'll be interesting. That'll be really interesting. So I think we'll be using stringcomp with an N. And yeah, so what I think we'll do is I will make a structure to represent a single profile. And then we can, go from there. So if I go struct, I just might put these down here, just rearranging the code a little bit. All right, struct profile config. And the profile has a name. So it's going to be character name 64. And it's going to have a kernel location, which I'm going to make a bit longer. I'm going to make it 128, just to be nice to people. And we're also going to have we're also going to have a kernel command line. And that's going to be the really tough one to do. And I'm going to make that 256 characters because it's nice and we have a pattern to them. I don't know. That's pretty silly of me. Alright, so let's make a bunch of these profile configs. How many profiles would people have? Well, we might start with 4, and we can go from there. So I'm just going to make a define for this. We're going to start with only 4, just to make the coding a bit simpler, and then we can make it a bit more complicated later. So we've made 4 profiles. Yeah? That should be fine. Who needs more than 4 profiles anyway? No, we'll make it more like 10 or 15. But I'll be honest, I can really only think of people using maybe 2 of these. So anyway. Well, actually, honestly, as it stands now, they're only going to be able to use 1 because we only have support for 1. And that's pretty good. I'm also going to have a boolean. We're going to have this be bool enabled. That is going to make my life a lot easier when it comes to loading them. So if we just put that to false, hopefully it'll be happy with that. It might not be happy with me using that as an initializer. But what I'm trying to get at is that every profile config will start with enabled set to false. And so when I'm looking for a spot to put the next profile in, I can just look for one that has false. And then once I'm done, I can set it to true. And, people will never know. So this is going to be a little annoying to do. What we're going to do is we're going to make a second thing. We're going to make a second function. It's going to be search for profile. And we're going to give it the name of the profile. Really? Car pointer profile name. No, we're just going to call it name. This is one of those things where you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so what this function is going to do is it's going to look for a specific profile by name, and if it doesn't exist, it'll create one. And that'll make my life a lot easier when we're trying to fill up this array. Anyway, I'm not going to do that. We're going to start from the top, and then we can sort things out from there. So we go else if strcmp. Actually, it's going to be stringcmp, and this is where, because it's C, I'm going to look up how the function works, just to make sure I haven't forgotten some weird little side edge case or something. The function starts comparing the first character of each string. If they're equal to each other, continues the following characters different. Blah, 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 blah. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to look for profile at the start of the section, and if that's at the start of the section, then we know that, yeah, it's going to be the profile. So we're going to look for profile, we're going to look for it in the section name, and we're going to check only this many characters, enough to fit profile in. Hopefully the compiler can manage that. If it can't, we can always just count them, but I'm lazy. Alrighty, so if we are looking at a profile, we need to go and check we need to go and look for Sorry. Right, we need to find out, we need to turn the name of the profile into an index into this array, so we know which profile it's talking about in this array rather than just the name of it, because the name is not very helpful in code. So we're going to make a profile ndx, and we're going to search for the profile with the name. This is where I'm going to do a bit of string manipulation tomfoolery, because I'm just a bit like that sometimes. I like to do that, despite how much it annoys everyone. So basically what I'm saying here is start with the section name, the first character of the section name, but add the number of characters in this string to the pointer to the section name, and use that. And what that ends up meaning is that we will check every character after profile colon. So if our section header looks something like this, say we're booting Debian, so INIH will strip off these for us, and so then all we have to do is look at this profile bit, and that's what we're comparing up here. And then if we want to look at this Debian bit, we have to start here and add the characters in the profile string until we're left at the D character, and that will give us the rest of the string, the Debian string. So that's what we're doing over here, and then we pass it into my search for profile function, which we haven't written yet, but the idea is it's going to return the index into that array of what we need to do. And all I'm going to do for now is print that off. We're going to just print that to what the index it gave me was. It theoretically should give me 0, but we can always change it later. So we found profile %d got index %d. Yeah. That's actually going to be a string. What am I saying? And so we're going to print the section name, which contains the profile, and we're going to print profile index. This is just so we can debug. Hey, it's Hoovian. How you doing, man? So yeah, anyway, blah 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 blah. Words are a thing that I can say. Yeah, so we should I think we'll start writing this search for profile function. I'm doing all right, mate. We're just programming, and I'm finding myself being rather stuttery today. You know, trying to explain what I'm doing and not going so well. But hey, what can you do? All right, so let's start nosying through that array I mentioned, through all the profiles. And what we're going to do is for each profile, which is basically what this amounts to, trust me on that one. For each profile, we're going to check if it's enabled. If it is, we will check the name. If it's not, we'll keep going. And then if we haven't found a profile after checking all the profiles, we'll try and allocate a new one. So this will be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable to hold what we think the result is. I'm going to need some canary value. We'll use the boolean. It's kind of cheating. It's ugly, but you can't win them all, can you? Alright, so just bear with me here. What we're going to do is for each profile, we're going to check if that profile, so profiles at the given index, is enabled, then we will check its name. So if stir between the name that we were given and the profile name, and yeah, profile name, and if there was no difference between them, so that equals 0, then we will set that. We'll set whatever. We will return that. Sorry. So result. Actually, okay. I've just realized that maybe this isn't what we should be doing with all these variables up here, because what I can then do is I can just return I. Right? So if I make that the same type, it shouldn't be a problem. And then that means we will, yeah, so, okay. Let's go over this again. For each profile, we check if it's enabled. If it is enabled, we check if its name is the same one that we were asked about. If it is, then we return the index of that particular profile. Otherwise, this will just fall through all these brackets and try the next profile. So we know that if code gets down to this line, we know that we didn't find a profile in the loop above. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new profile. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to start looking for... I'm still going to need some canary value. We're going to start looking for an index to find it. Pardon. So now we're going to do something a little bit different. We know that we haven't found a profile by the name we were asked for. So we're now going to check for profiles that are not enabled, and then we will use one of those to our advantage and set that up as the main thing. So we found an enabled profile. Down here we're going to have return I. But also we're going to copy the name in just to make life a little bit better. So we're going to... How long is the name? The name is 64 characters. So string copy into profiles I.name. We will copy the name we were given with a maximum of 64 characters. And we also need to set profiles I.enabled to true. And then we'll return that. And here comes the big problem. What do we do down here? This situation is where we haven't found a profile. And we haven't found a profile, and we were unable to make a new one, which means we've got more than 4. So what am I going to do here? We need to somehow communicate to the handler back here that something's gone wrong. But size t is unsigned. I'm pretty sure it's unsigned anyway, so I can't just return -1, which is what I'd usually do. So I guess we can return, I don't know, just some unique value. I guess I'll return everything set, and hopefully that will, hopefully that will be something we can check for, right? I might instead write that as not 0, just a bit neater. Alright, so what we're going to do down here is we're going to check if profile ndx equals not 0, then we will say print an error message. We're just going to print out an error message so we know that something went wrong. And then we're going to return, just quit, just abandon what we were doing. Alright. So, okay, I'm trying to toss up whether I'm going to put debugging statements in here. I don't think I'll bother for now. I have faith that it'll work. We will see how well that actually turns out for us. So I think I'm about ready to test that. So what we have now is something that will look through the INI file, look for a section starting with profile : and then it will pass that into this function, which will try and turn that into an index we can use. If it succeeds, we'll print that out. And if it fails, we'll chuck a bit of a tizzy. I think that should be good to go. So we're going to come over here, we're going to compile it. And I'm going to go get a drink while that happens. So just give us a moment. Oh, I can see red. Oh, this will be fun. I'll be back in a moment. Alrighty, where were we? I see red, I see errors. Alright, so it looks like this first one up here, we just fat-fingered the word profiles. I missed the L in there. In here, you can see it says discard const qualifier. That just means we got our type wrong. So, yeah, you can see that section is technically a const character. While name up here is just a normal character pointer, and that screws things over. So let's add const in here. Let's fix my typo, and that should be good to go now. Ta-da! Alright, where's my SD card and all that? Let's drop in the SD and maybe it'll stay mounted for once. There you go. Awesome. So let's get Linux Loader, copy it in, paste it over here. Alrighty. This feels like the sort of thing I should automate, but it's not really very easy to do because I've got the I've got to swap the SD card in it now because it's just, it's a firmware image, we can't just Wii load it. Anyway, I'm not sure why that still has the old text up. It shouldn't. My capture card may be broken. Which could be a problem. Yeah, okay. Something's gone wrong with the capture card. Okay, great. You're not going to be able to see the Wii U, I guess. Unless I delete it and just give me a moment. I'm just doing some debugging on my Streambox. It says device or resource busy. What is it busy with? None of these displays are capturing on that VL42. Just give me a moment. PID 1867, which is 1867 is what exactly? It's under .config of all things. It's the OBS Linux browser. What? Okay. This is going to be interesting for me to deal with. I might have to restart OBS, but that would cut the stream off, and I don't want to do that. So, I'm not sure how we're going to fix this. We may just have to not have a YouTube, sorry, an output. Give me a second. We're going to get rid of the Linux browser. The chat here. So let's just check fuser again. Okay, so nothing's using the video capture card now, and so I can set the flags on it. Let's make sure that's actually fixed. So we're gonna add the video capture device back in. Oh, hello. And so that's going to be PAL 60. Just got to configure it, sorry. And let's blow that up. And we can fiddle with that in a second once we know it's working. And so now I need to paste as a... What did I just do? Okay, we don't have to actually have the chat anymore. I appear to have broken that. Well, that was good of me. When OBS says copy, it actually means just the just the transform. Well, it's not like you guys were chatting very much anyway, so I will just open a pop-out chat window on my stream box. Actually, we can capture that, can't we? Hang on a second. Ta-da! This is the way we're going to have to do things. It's not perfect, is it? But, you know, sometimes things go wrong. And today is one of those times. Oh, that looks wonderful. Okay, I can't make it transparent either. So it's just going to cover the bottom half of the screen, which isn't great either. Oh, here we go. All right, that is what I call fixing a problem when it's actually quite hard to do. That was a very difficult one. That was just out of nowhere, but we're mostly good now. We seem to be fine. So we're gonna add that back into my other little streams. We haven't ended up using that tablet yet. We'll fiddle with that later. You guys will see what that last one was later on. So let's finally gonna fix this off. Fix this up, and we should be able to. What is it? 1276 or something like that. No. 1216, that's what it was. I'm just trying to remember how big my background image is. And there we are. That's fixed. That's fixed that up. Sorry about that. Let's actually test the firmware image we compiled. you believe it or not, we did actually have a firmware image that we were going to try, where we figured, oh crap, I didn't change the INI, did I? Okay, it's not going to do anything, so I'm just going to pop out the SD card. Hopefully CBHC will be able to handle that. Come on, SD card reader, don't do this to me now. I'll have to get this SD card reader on video later, it's ridiculous. Alright, sorry, where's my laptop? There's my laptop. And there's desktop 3, and let's mount the SD card. Yeah, I forgot to change up the config files, so we should be able to explain what we're actually doing again. So what we did was we added code so that it should be able to recognize something like this, profile Debian. And ideally, it will parse with an R that name and make a profile in code named Debian. Wrong window. Right. So we're going to do that. I'm going to have to put something in it. Just so that INIH will actually call me. But yeah, I'm also going to put a second one in. It's going to be Gen 2. But it's not actually going to be Gen 2. And again, we're not really going to be able to use that code yet anyway. It's just for future proofing. So if it doesn't work, I'm not too fussed. As long as the Debian one works. Well, actually, no, we do need several to work because the default. I forgot about the default bit. So here we go. I did save that in mousepad, right? Jeez, I hope so. I'm gonna have a bit of a snack. Nom 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 nom. Alright. It has said that the default profile is test 1 2 3. Right. Okay. So let's look at the code. So it seems that it hasn't gotten past this else if statement, which is a shame. I was kind of hopeful that that would work fine and I wouldn't need to debug it, but it looks like we do need to debug it. So let's add some prints. So we're gonna have a section, we're gonna have a section name, and we're gonna move the string comparison out here, so we can see everything that happens. So int ret equals that section ret. Hopefully we can see what went wrong here. I don't see why it wouldn't have worked, but it could be anything really. It may have included the null character or something, I don't know. Maybe I need to make it a little smaller. Who knows? It's a mystery. And we're going to fix this so we can actually... There you go. So that code functionally does the same thing. I've just snuck this sneaky print in there. So we can see what the dealio is. Just going to turn the Wii U back off. Alrighty, I've got my SD card and all its wonderful annoyingness. So annoying. Alright, code, Linux loader, firmware image. Copy that into here. And eject the disk. Alright, how many tries have we had so far? I think we're up to 5. 5th time's a charm. There you go. And have that snack I opened. It's pretty good. I got one of those biscuits and fake cheese things. That's pretty tasty. Oh yeah. I may have some other people arriving at home soon, so if I disappear for about 5 minutes, that's probably what it is. But I will try and come back and keep going if they arrive. Yeah. Hello, Wii U. I did put the SD card in. Okay. Let's try that again. Something went a little wrong there. So I'm going to copy the firmware image back to the SD a second time in case it got corrupted on the way through or something silly like that. Second time's a charm. I don't know. All of the times are really a charm except for the first. Alright, attempt the second to boot this debug version. I mean, they're all debug versions, but that's not the point. Nom nom nom. Alright. Hopefully this will actually boot. Yay! Okay, here we go. Okay. Okay, this is a bit weird. I'm just going to take the top line. It says section, the section name it gives is profile::Debian, which is what we expect from the file that we wrote. And the stringcomp returns -100. Okay. That's a bit strange. So let's go look at the documentation for stringcomp. The first character that does not match has a lower value in string 1 than in string 2. Sorry, what? Oh, wait, let me look at... Show me... sorry. I've been looking at documentation on my laptop. Let's just try a few references. Maybe some of them will be better than others. That last one was very confusing. What does it actually return? That string 1 is less than string 2. So, I guess... profile is less than string 2. Well, actually, that would explain it if it compared the null character at the end as well. So what I might do is we will subtract 1 from this, and we will see. Actually, I'll just write a number. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to compare 8 characters. I'm just going to tweak my string compare a little so that it actually does what it's meant to do. All right. Third try. Such is debugging. You know, you have problems like that where there's some tiny thing, some number isn't quite right, or some programming feature you tried to use didn't work out. And you just have to roll with those, and you got to try and do what you can to fix them. Oh, pardon. So, here we go. Fingers crossed and all that. Nom nom nom. Still eating that biscuit. It's very nice. Okay, so I understand it's really late, but do we actually have anyone watching? The chat is very quiet. Alright, we have something different. Again, it's going to be really hard for you guys to read. But I can read it on the gamepad over here. So, just underneath the big ready with all the dashes, we have the loader section, which StringComp correctly said is not equal to profile. Then it checked profile Debian and it gave 0, and then it worked. And then I can see underneath is the output from this bit. Yeah? Yeah, from that bit. And it got given index number 0, which is exactly the behavior I would have hoped for. And then it checks on the Gen2 section, and it got given index number 1. So it is correctly assigning indexes and things like that, which is really good. We're doing really, really, really well so far. So we can get on with the actual parsing, right? And actually making it accept a configuration that's a lot more like this. So we're going to add some more stuff and go from there. So I need to add a human readable name. That's something that we put in the config for some reason. Which I guess, you know, if you want to have that, you can have it. We're going to put 128 characters for that. Actually, no, 64 is fine. I could probably make a lot of these a lot smaller. But hey, that should absolutely be size of profiles i.name. I'm trying to use size of functions instead of just constant values in case I change this structure up here later. Alrighty. So we have a profile index. We've been assigned an index. We're doing well. Now we know what the index is. It's time to decide what value we've been value we've been given, right? What part of what is it? Is it the kernel? Is it the name? Is it the command line? What is it? What is it? Okay, I need to put this Firefox on a different desktop. This is just going to annoy me. Number 4. Okay, remember that. Number 4. Sorry about that. I'm clicking all over the place, and I understand it's very hard to see on the stream because I'm using a very janky setup involving a VNC. Alright, if Sturcomp, no need to check for too much crazy stuff this time. If Sturcomp, actually hang on, we will just quickly move this line back in here and remove this debugging bit. We're going to probably do this mostly silently when push comes to shove. Right, if Sturcomp, what are we looking for? We're looking for name, first off. The human readable name, which is just going to be called name because I said it would be called name in the issue. So, you see a name. Sturcomp name section, not section, name. That's really weird. Everything is called name. We need to come up with some more creative naming. Alright, so we go profiles, profile, index, dot, human readable name, value, and then this again inside the size of, wow, that's really long. I might just rename that to NDX. Yeah, it's pretty awful and not the best. Not the best, but hey. I like my code to be pretty concise, even if that makes it slightly less readable. Obviously, apply common sense, but yeah, I like to not be too silly about things. Alrighty. I might just actually make that return 0. Sorry, I'm all over the place today. Right, so if we have found a bit called name here, then we will copy that into the profile's human name variable. Otherwise, let's check for some of the other things that it might be. It could be the kernel path, which would be good because that's really what we're here for. The kernel path and the kernel command line are the whole point of doing any of this, right? Kernel path, here we go. No, not command line, kernel path. Value, size of, profiles, ndx.kernel path. Now, you will notice we're not doing any sort of validation on any of this, but hey, I mean, who cares really? It's not like anyone's using this for mission critical stuff. Hey, copycat, how's it going? How's it going? Just doing some work on Linux Loader, making it parse a config file so that people can change the kernel command line, which I think is a pretty important function, if you ask me. Lots of people have been stuck because they don't want to use a USB drive or something like that, and without the ability to change the kernel command line, they're a bit stuffed. What have I done here? That's what I've done here. So yeah, we're just writing we're actually parsing the config file at the moment. And once we're done here and got this working, we're going to have to fiddle with the kernel file itself. We're going to have to fiddle with the elf file, and that's going to be the really fun part that I've been sort of dreading. Because you actually need to like inject the command line into the binary. It's really silly, and I just don't know why they made it work like that. But hey, you can't, it's just what you got to do sometimes, I suppose. So yeah, I got to actually inject. I got to actually modify the binary in memory with the new kernel command line, which is pretty silly. So yeah, that's what we're leading up to. That'll be fun. But we're almost done with the the parsing code that will write up. It'll do all the manage the INI file and things like that. I'm assuming you saw this GitLab issue I filed. That's what I'm basing it on. I'm basically implementing this. So you can go look at that yourself if you haven't seen it. It's issue number 3 in Linux Loader. Yeah, it's gonna be an adventure. We're gonna talk about the ELF format a bit. I might use it as an opportunity to talk about how the format works. We'll see. Anyway, what was I doing? Right, yes, okay, so we've written this code. It should parse, with an R, each individual profile. So we're looking at these bits. So what I'm going to do now is print out all the profiles. We're going to print them all out so that we can check if it worked. Yeah, we're gonna dump all the profiles so that we can see if the parsing worked, and that'll be the parsing done basically. We've got the name of the default profile. We've got parsing the basic stuff we need out of a profile, and that'll be the config file. And then we'll move on to ELF, the actual binary of the kernel. Anyway, so right. So we're going to print out each bit. So first we're going to print the profile name is going to be in there. Then we're going to print the profile, the human readable name, which you can actually provide in the config file if you want to do that. Which may be used later. New line, so that's going to be profiles. Man, I can type. Profiles I dot name and profiles I dot. What was it? HR name? Did I call it? What did I call it? Human name. Because humans just give things really silly names, so they have their own special variable. Just give me a moment. I'm just gonna make that chat window a little bit easier to see through. A little bit dimmer. So that we can see the wonderful code a little bit better. I would appreciate it if it was black, but I did have it transparent before, but we all... I don't know who was here for that, but it just stopped working at some point, so you do what you can. Okay, then we're going to need to print off the command line and the kernel path. So let's start with kernel path. Which is going to be that, and then profiles i.kernel path. Then printf kernel command cache s. This code is probably gonna, in some form, we'll clean it up a bit, but it's probably gonna stay in some form. It's probably gonna stay put in the final release, just so you can see what all the profiles are at a glance and see what your current settings are. We might only do it for the selected profile. I don't know. Okay. That should be good to go, I think. Oh, nice catch. Where was that? Oh, yeah, gotcha. Oh, it's just in the debug log. Who cares? Alrighty. Let's compile that. And, wrong window. Wrong window. What am I doing? And I'm going to complain about my SD card reader. Oh, yeah, here we go. Got it. No, I don't mind. It probably would have found its way into the final version if you didn't point it out. That's the sort of thing I do. Yeah, I either don't notice or I don't care about and just push it anyway. And then someone else can make a pull request to fix it. I'm a bit awful like that. What am I doing? It's in here. It's just here. Firmware image. Alright, let's put that on my SD card, and we're going to make our config file a bit more complicated. So right now it just has this in it, so we're going to make it look a bit more like a real config file would. So let's give it some names. We're going to have a kernel location, the SD Linux DTB image woo.wiiu, because that's my favorite. Then, what did I say? Was it kernel CMD or just CMD line? CMD line, okay. I need to get a drink later. Root dev SDA1, something like that. And we're going to put a canary value in. So we can tell that it actually worked and it's not using the default command line. Same deal for Gen2, which is just a test profile. We're not actually going to use it. And I mean, the profiles aren't going to be used anyway, because we don't have a boot menu, and so that's not going to happen. But that's just, we're going to put the infrastructure in place so that if it ever gets written, the config file will be ready for it, and people will have already written their config files in a way that they can, that they can actually be ready for it and not need to change their existing configs. Alright, we compiled that, we did that, we've saved that. Okay, so let's eject the SD card. Pop it into the Wii U, and we'll give this a try. Get in there. There we go, got it. So here's the Wii U video stream. CompuCat, I don't know if you were here when I had the Wii U up before, but it's pretty awful. It's composite video, so you probably won't be able to read what's actually on the screen, but hey, I will read it out, don't worry. Num num num. I've also got a snack. I'm still halfway through. Okay. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's really small. It's really small. Alright, so right under the ready, all the dashes, which is everything above that is just normally output by Linux Loader. Right underneath that, we have profile name. I'll swap back to the laptop so I can point out what it says in the code. It says profile name. Are you ready for this? Ebian. E-B-I-A-N. The human readable name worked fine though, although it does have it has quotes around it for some reason. Ebian. That's wonderful. Yeah, so clearly we have an off by one error up in the string copy bit where we copy the name in. So that'll be up here. Yeah, here. That has to be 8. Wait, no, it doesn't. What am I saying? How has that worked? Now, hold on a second here. Ebian? It did the same thing with Gen 2 as well. All the other parameters look fine, although they do have quotes around them. But for some reason, the internal profile names are missing their first letters. Which is a problem. Now, the profile name gets set here by copying... Yeah, I don't know what it is. Because... Oh, no, I see what we've done. Okay, it is Pointer Madness, and I'm silly, and I wrote this code before, and I fixed it there, and I didn't fix it in the other place I've written it. Right here, look at this. So this makes a little bit of sense. Let's keep in mind that our profile headers look something like this. This is how we get them from the INI parsing library. So I'm thinking, alright, we've got to search for the profile, start with the section name, then add on the length of the profile bit, and so we'll cut all that out and we'll end up with Debian. Now, I actually already did this in the string comp up here before, and that didn't work. And I ended up having to change it to 8, and that is because size of profile also includes the null character on the end. So it doesn't work, right? It just doesn't work. This is one too big. And so, yeah, I sort of thought, oh, you know, I fixed it before, but I didn't fix it in the other place it was used. So let's fix that. And we'll do another build. Look, it should be fine, but I like to be sure. So let's turn off the Wii, grab the SD card, change the permissions. Come on. There we go. Alright, so we've mounted the Wii U SD card, so if I grab that new firmware image and copy that in, and we're also going to modify the INI a bit. It turns out you don't need the quotes. It will just do it, although I'm interested to see how it handles lines like this one that have an equals in it. So this is a bit of an experiment, so to speak. That's more on the library side. That's not something we can do much about. We might have to escape stuff. That would be annoying. Anyway, unmount the SD card. Let's turn on the Wii. I can't believe I didn't fix that. I fixed it twice, man. Fixed it twice. How are we going? Did I forget to... Oh, phew. Oh, no, the gamepad didn't turn on. No! I didn't get in... I didn't manage to open the CV8, the cold boot menu in time, so we're going to try again. Second attempt. Oh, technically it's like the third. It's the second attempt at my third attempt. I don't know. Yeah, get hype. Here we go. No, it's not going to be that impressive. We'll just be finished with one part and on to the hard part, you know? Here it comes. Alrighty. Oh, that's perfect. Look, I'm not going to read out every line for you, but it says exactly what you would expect it to say. It worked really well. It has parsed that config file. Woohoo! So, I guess the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of glue to pick the active profile, which I haven't done. I've just been printing all of them. We do actually have a setting to be like, hey, this is the active profile. So we're going to do that. So first we need to pick the active one. If strcomp what? Loader config dot default profile and profiles I dot name equals 0, then break. In fact, we won't even bother putting all the brackets in and stuff. And we're going to make that be active. No, we're going to go per. How am I going to write this? I'm going to have to write it the long way, aren't I? That's annoying. Right, so we'll pick the active profile and... Oh, crud, I got rid of the printing code, didn't I? Alright. We're doing this the dangerous way, getting that code back. Copy. Redo. Look, yeah, it is basically straight C. What you don't see is all this stuff hiding behind the scenes that actually handles, that Zozo of all people wrote, that handles the hardware side of it. So you can see there's like a Printf implementation hiding in here. Yeah, there you go. They also did a similar thing for the files on the SD card and yada yada yada. So this would be a lot more low level if it wasn't for Dezozo, who has been hiding all of the annoying stuff in files. Although we are going to delve a little bit deeper into that when we have to deal with the elves. But yeah, stuff like, you know, this, I don't even have to think about it because it wasn't written by me and it just works. I dropped it in, it worked. So that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. It's allowed me to sit down and do what actually matters. The really big boon for me is this PPC file. This does the this allows me to run any kernel on the PowerPC, and you wouldn't usually be able to do that because the PowerPC has a boot ROM that's supposed to make sure it will only boot Nintendo kernels, right? If you've seen the, I think it's like 20, it was either 31 or 25 C3 talk that Fail Overflow did about the Wii U. They talked about this, right? They said, you know, you can't just run any old thing, but you can actually, basically you can, after it finishes validating the code you feed it, you can write your own code in and it will just run it and it won't even care. So Dezozo here has written the code to do that for me. Well, not for me specifically. I just took his project off GitHub, but that's not the point. It just works, right? And so I don't have to friggin' worry about all this, which would have been really annoying to write. So yeah, it is sort of straight C thanks to Daz, but it isn't meant to be. And if you start looking at Nintendo's firmware images, you need to know the hardware interface back to front. And there really isn't many resources on how to learn that. I mean, there's Wii U Brew, which is all right, and I'm trying to improve it where I can, but it's just a bit of a mess, really. Not as much. It's not much is really known about all this, and that's one of the things I've noticed while working on Linux. There's just so much that that you don't know, and that we're having to figure out for the first time. You know, like how the SD card reader works, and what's up with the backwards wiring on the USB ports, things like that. Yeah, did you know the USB is internally wired like backwards or something like that? You'll have to ask RW. He did the driver for it, but basically, as sort of a hack to make USB easier to deal with on a big endian system, like the ARM is big endian, I think. Nintendo like wired it backwards, which is fine as long as you don't try and read anything shorter than 32 bits at a time. If you try and read like 16 bits at a time, it basically corrupts all the data, which is good. So yeah, just little things like that that you got to figure out for the first time yourself, and yeah, that's been quite the learning experience. And yes, as I said, I'm trying to get that up on Wii U Brew where I can, and hopefully we can get a better documentation of how the console's put together internally. Alrighty, where was I? Right, okay, so we've picked an active profile, and I think the appropriate thing to do here is actually just do it. So we're going to take out that loop, and we are going to attempt to load the kernel. So, alright, ppc load file, profiles, profile index dot kernel path. Alrighty, and give it ppc entry. So, with any luck, that should really be all we need to change where the kernel is loaded from. That's going to be the easy part. Oh, and we need to do if res is less than or equal to, if res is less than 0, then do this. Yeah, is that what we need to do? What's up with the brackets? What's going wrong here? We have too many brackets. That's better. Else kernel loaded equals true. So hopefully, crud. We should be able to use that to read in the kernels. I am also going to put in a printf so we know what's happening. Very similar to this one. In fact, it's going to be identical to this one. Profiles. Alright, so yeah, we're gonna this is just the kernel path bit of it. As I said, that's the easy bit. So the value from the config file should now determine where the kernel is, which will be good. Or it'll at least try that first, and then it will fall back on the other two locations, which we have up here. Your DTB image and then just kernel. Alrighty. So that's that. I think we should test that so that at least we can confirm that it tries to load the kernel from that location, and then we can fiddle around a bit more later. So what are you doing? Okay, we've got to turn it off. Oh, pardon. Alrighty. So if I mount the SD card... Oh, wait, we got to compile it first. Compile. Yay. That's right, okay. I didn't use I used profile ndx. So let's just rename all the references to I. Do you do much C, CompuCat? Like, I don't actually think I know much of your background. Where are we? Code, Linux loader, firmware image. Drop that on the SD card. Alrighty. So I'm ready to give that a go. Ah, I see. I see. I definitely meant to make that pun. I'm sorry. Alright, hopefully the gamepad will actually turn on this time. It doesn't always do that. Sometimes when you're in Linux, the gamepad will like unlink itself from the console, and so it won't turn on when you turn the console on. Which is quite difficult to get into this menu here. Alrighty, so this should be the pretty much done version. And I am looking at the Linux loader output, and I can see that it hasn't actually worked. Something has gone wrong here. That's not good. Did I ever paste that code back in that I wanted? I don't think I did. Oh well, I can't deal with it now. Powering up the system from the gamepad rather than the console's power system button forces the gamepad to sync right away. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I'll definitely make good use of that. Okay, so what you can't see, because it's on the gamepad, was that we had 2 lines printed out. The first one was this one, and it had... Stop it. Trying to load kernel from ... This string here was empty. Uh-oh, as they say. So that's not good. Then we had this one where it tried the DTB image, and that worked fine. So it's not working quite right. So we need to try and figure out what could possibly be going wrong with this. So I'm going to add some prints. I'm going to add some print functions. I'm just going to chuck them in here. So the profile NDX. And we'll also chuck in the profile name, but I don't know if that'll actually be anything. It might just be blank. Oh, man. So yeah, there's something a bit weird going on, which isn't great. It's possible that this comparison hasn't worked. No, of course it hasn't, because I have got the name set to... Oh, crud, okay. Pardon me, but I have screwed up significantly. And we have, yeah, we've messed up. I've messed up. I need to do 2 things which I haven't done. First, we have to make sure, before we consider a profile for being the default, we need to actually make sure that it's enabled, which would be important to. It would be good if it was enabled. And second thing second, I need to actually have the config file correct, and I'll show you what I mean by that once we are done here and we're ready to go have a look at. We've got the SD card mounted. Ah, I'm feeling so silly for making this mistake. So, I suspect my code worked fine. The problem is this. You can see that the default profile is set to test123, which obviously it can't find. So we're going to need to change that to Debian. Damn it. I feel very silly. Okay. But we should be good to, we should be finished with the kernel location, and we should be able to move on to the actual the command line, which is what we're here for. Yeah, that's the... It sort of did that by itself. I'll show you in the code later, but basically, you know how right now it reads from, SD Linux DTB image or just SD Linux kernel? If the path it gets from the profile, if that doesn't work, it will fall back on those. the old style ones. So you technically don't need to include one of these boot configs at all, right? So it technically has it. I might just put a default profile in so it's a bit nicer looking. But then again, I'm not too worried about the profiles anyway, because again, they're just for future proofing. Yeah. Okay, something else has gone horribly wrong. What has happened? I forgot to put a new line somewhere, didn't I? No. Okay, I can't really show you guys this, but I have a very strange corrupted thing on my on down here. Sorry, what am I saying? It's very strange. It's a little bit corrupt. Something has gone wrong here. Basically, it says, good question. I don't think I can manage it. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Oh, I can do this. Yeah, just give me a moment. Give me a moment. Yeah, okay. I know I was able to do it last stream, but I just don't have the cabling. My cabling's different this time around because I borrowed a more fancy microphone. It's actually a camera, but that's not the point. The point is that, yeah, I can't do it with my cabling setup. I'm sorry. Ooh, just voice broke there. Yeah, I've got a Windows tablet over here in case I need to use it for something. It has a really nice Wacom pen, so if I need to explain something, I can scribble on it. But for some reason, I restored it from the manufacturing, like, restore DVDs that like came from the manufacturer, and the product key doesn't work. So Windows has decided that it's not genuine, and so it makes noises every now and again. It's pretty annoying. I will ring up the manufacturer at some point and get them to fix it, but I don't really care at this point, so I'll get to it later. Anyway, where were we? Right, yeah, so I've got something very strange happening. It says... Okay, so if we look at the... come on, OBS. Here we go. So, I got this info bit printed out. Then we've got the number 4 here, which it absolutely shouldn't have. That means that we didn't get a match up here, and because we know we've only got 2 profiles in the config, so it didn't get a match. Something's gone a little bit wrong. The Wii U just rebooted itself. And then here, it just all goes awfully wrong, and there's like another thing that says info, and it's just a mess. I think it's null, but the way the memory map is on a on the Wii U hardware level, when you're not actually running the full OS, null is actually a valid memory location, and there's actually data there. So that's probably what happened. So I'm going to take out the %s because that's a bit silly, and we're going to make this code a bit safer, specifically this bit. Because I suspect what has happened is that this Strucum, for some reason, hasn't found the Debian profile. Maybe I left the quotes in. So it goes round and round and round, and it ends up with profile NDX being equal to num profiles, and then breaks out. So profile NDX is left at 4, which isn't actually a valid profile. So I have to be a bit safer with this, I think. So I'm going to rearrange this a little bit. So we're going to make a boolean for profile found. And if we find one, we will set profile found to true, then break. Just a little bit safer, because then we can come down here and rearrange this a little bit. So let's just rearrange all this. We're going to have this just here, but we're going to have if profile has been found. I guess it's just a case of my code not being particularly safe. You know, you can't win them all. Yeah, profile found, then do this, and then we'll set kernel loaded to true. Then we can wrap this whole thing in an if statement. So if the kernel is still not loaded, try the defaults, which hopefully makes sense. I really should just put like a while one down here or something, so that it won't actually boot Linux and we can still see what's going on. So we'll do that. We'll put that there. Right, so now we're going to say, if it hasn't found the profile, don't even try and load the kernel. Go straight down to here. If it has found the profile, then it will actually do it. And hopefully that will work a little bit better, and we won't have this weird thing where it tries to read profile 4, which doesn't exist. Alright, I've got a notification on my phone. I've been emailed. What do we think it is? Ah, okay. PayPal has changed their terms of service, apparently. Don't care. Alright, so I think we will try this, and I'll tweak the config file a little so that it's actually a valid config file. Oh dear, okay. Wow, I'm surprised it found that. Wow, okay, compilers are cool. Look at this. It's found out the format string is invalid for the arguments I've given. I've never actually had that sort of error get caught before. Maybe it's because I'm always working on the PowerPC side and we don't use Printf. We use our own custom functions, so this sort of heuristic stuff isn't going to work. That's cool. Alright. New image. Time to mount it. Time to put it on the SD card and... Oh, man. So, I have been going so far for just about 2 hours making this work. Just doing the config file parsing. And I planned on stopping this. I plan on stopping in an hour's time. I don't think we're going to get the command line done. We'll see. I might have to skip over some explanation stuff of what's actually going on, and I might have to just do it a bit more. We will see how that goes. Alright, so here's the problem that I think we actually have. Other than the code being unsafe as heck, which we did fix, the default profile is in quotes, and I thought the parsing library would strip that out. So I put them all on these as well, and then it turned out it didn't, so I fixed them for these and not for this. So let's do that. Seems to be a recurring theme with my programming. I fix bugs in one location and not in another. Alrighty, here we go. So let's put that back on the code. Swap to the Wii U. I said swap to the Wii U. There we go. Turn on the gamepad. Here we go. Alright, where are we? Okay. Sorry, what? Oh, okay. basically what's happened here is you can see the info line. I really need something I can drag around on the stream so you can actually see. Can I just make a color? Here we go. Just make a thin piece of color that I can drag around and show you things with. So the line I've underlined here says it got the index right this time. It's index number 0, which indicates the Debian one. It's the first one in the file. And it says trying to load kernel from the path in the config file, which is sd linux dtb image woo.wu. So it's done that correctly, but that file doesn't exist. And I would expect it to have fallen back on the next one. But this next line down here says loaded PowerPC kernel error number 88. Entry point is 0. So what we've done is we forgot to check whether loading the kernel actually failed or not, and just always set the kernel to be, yeah, it's loaded, right? So if we have a look down here, no matter what res is, we always set kernel loaded to true, even if it didn't actually get loaded. So, simple fix. Man, I can't believe some of the programming problems I have. Some really silly bugs. Really silly bugs. I'm actually willing to just not even bother testing that fix. We'll just move on. So the next thing that we would have to do then is we need to do the kernel command line. Oh my god, okay. Okay. We can do this one. This one should be fine. So I'm going to pop open the Linux source code and show you how this works. It's a bit strange, but I'll show you. Oh yeah, I'll show you how it works. So, crud, which file was it? So I'm looking through the source code for the boot wrapper, which deals with the PowerPC, how the PowerPC kernel, how Linux boots. Basically, it sort of is a binary with a kernel, a compressed kernel embedded in it, and then it extracts itself, and then actually runs the kernel, which is pretty neat. It means you can have a compressed kernel and also just have a binary you can drop into memory and run. Which file was it? I have genuinely forgotten. It's not one of these. No, that's U-boot compatibility. Ah, damn. Sorry, give me a moment. I will remember where this code is. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Simple boot? Maybe. No, that's your platform initialization. That's fine. Hang on a second. What does platform init get past? I might be able to do this without fiddling with your silly stuff. I will show you what it does anyway. If I can freaking find the code that actually handles booting. Where is it? Okay, hang on a second. I know what to search for. There's a main.c and I didn't see it. Yeah, there it is. Oh dear, I'm a bit silly. Okay. What we are looking at is just... Where is it? Here. There's this variable, right? It's your command. It's your kernel command line, basically. And basically, you use this you have to go and parse the binary and find this built-in command line section, and then use the address in that section to edit this actual command line string, which is a bit of a pain. So yeah, but it looks like maybe I can I hack it about so that I don't have to actually do that? Okay, so that's static. That's the first annoying part. That's going to make it difficult. But if we look at this, console ops edit command line and get command line timeout. I'm pretty sure we have a boot console somewhere that we actually do. Yeah, console ops.write. So here's my thought. If we make a sort of a fake... Crap, where'd that file go? Sorry, hang on. Let me get that file back up. If we make a fake edit command line console operation, then we should be able to just, like, instead of actually sending that back to the ARM to show on the screen and have us edit it, we should just be able to replace it with a buffer with something we got out of memory, right? And so then we can just pick a memory location and put the kernel command line there. All right, I think that's a good thing to do. So we're gonna write that. We're gonna have to write that. We're gonna have to pick a memory location. So woohoo, let's go do that. Do I have a Firefox window open? I do. So here is the locations we have to choose from. So we already use 892.0.0.0.0 as something. What do we use that for again? I don't think we've ever actually used that. I'm pretty sure that was used really early in development when I wasn't even sure if the boot wrapper would work. But I don't think that's enabled anymore. It's definitely not being read in Linux Loader. This location is definitely not being read by Linux Loader. So maybe I can just unmap it and pretend it doesn't exist. So presumably there'll be a mapping in here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So what if I just comment that out so we don't actually have a console, an in-memory debug console, which I don't really need anyway because it just doesn't, it wouldn't work, right? So if I just comment this out, so that's going to stop us mapping that memory location. Actually, wait, sorry, what am I even talking about? Let's keep it mapped. So we can see we have 64 meg, which is a ridiculous amount of space, starting at this memory area. And it's pretty safe to assume that the kernel's not going to load itself into that area. We can dream at least. So I'm going to change this from a debug area to a command line area. And then what we can do is in this Wii U.c, we can get rid of this code because that's writing a debug console to that area and we don't want that anymore. We've gotten rid of that. So instead we're going to make a console... Oh, I might get this done really quickly. Console ops dot edit command line, was it? Let's just quickly have a look. Edit underscore CMD line. Yep. Okay. And then we'll go... Does it return a value? No. It takes presumably a string, a size t, and an integer. All right, we can do that. So void Wii U. We're gonna say what it really is. Copy command line, and it's gonna take, what was it? A character pointer command line size t command line size, and a presumably int for timeout, which we're not going to bother with because we're not actually waiting for the user. Sort of cheating a bit there. So let's just quickly make sure that we are close enough to the actual... Oh, that's pretty much perfect. Okay, character pointer, an integer, and an unsigned int. So we'll just go quickly fix that. What the heck are they doing using an integer for a size? That's really silly. Anyway. So do we have a mem copy, perhaps? Or do we have string copy? Do we have store copy? We have a string.s. Does that have some... It does have a store copy in it. Awesome. Alright, so we should therefore be able to include string.h. Why is there like a space here? That's a bit weird. And with, what am I saying? Right, and then we can go string copy. Actually, what I might do first is check. We'll put some sort of canary character that has to be a certain value, like a magic character or something, just to be sure that we haven't screwed this up and that it's not going to copy some silly string in there or something. Because we don't know what that area might be set to. So actually we should, because we have control over the arm and we can just set it to 0. So I won't bother. Actually, no, I will still set a canary command line now that I say it, because it might, yeah, I will set some sort of indicator value, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Alright, so OX892 and a bunch of zeros, and it's going to be an unsigned, it's going to be a character pointer, because there's going to be a, wait. So our canary location, which is going to be canary not present, is going to be 892 blah 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 blah, and it's going to be an unsigned integer. And our actual string, if the canary is of a desirable value, is going to be, it's going to be a character pointer, and it's going to start at OX8924. So basically, we will have this canary location with a just an integer saying, hey, is there a command line here? Yes, no. And then here we will have the actual location of where the string starts, assuming that the command line is a proper, is a desirable value. And so I may actually go define command line canary magic. It's a magic value. It's not really a canary. I don't think it really matters. It's just a case of words, really. I wonder if this will compile. That's going to be really strange, because technically 4 ASCII characters does make an unsigned int. But I don't know whether it will happily compile that, especially considering all this gets compiled as, I think it gets compiled as ANSI. So that'll be interesting to see. If it doesn't work, we can always change the value. Alright, then we will go if the value of command line canary location equals command line canary magic, then string copy, string copy, command line into command line from command line lock And how long did we decide the command line was going to be? Assuming int size. Oh, well, yeah. We're on a Wii U, man. It's not like I'm running this on 50 different computers. We know that it's a 32-bit system. That's one of the wonderful things about embedded programming. I don't have to worry about compatibility because I only have to run it on one system. So yeah, you know, get mad at me all you want, but I can assume that size because it's embedded. Alright, 256 characters. Hee hee. Sorry, I shouldn't be so mean, but I do enjoy the benefits that my platform gives me. I revel in them where I can, you know? Alright, so we've copied that. I don't think I have to do anything else. Do I? No, I don't think I have to do anything else. So let's set that. We should probably make that static for the sanity of everyone. But assuming that compiles, especially with this, we should be good to go. Nah, that's alright. That's alright. It is kind of... I should technically be using, you know, plus size of int, but when you've been... You know, when you've been working on a system, on one system pretty much exclusively, you do sort of tend to start to abuse the things that it gives you, and there's also a bit of a sort of an attitude that a lot of homebrew developers have, where it doesn't really matter about things like you know code security and stuff. So if it has, for example, if there's an integer overflow in some application that allows you to you know, get code execution inside a piece of homebrew, the developer probably won't care because in order to run the homebrew, you must have already had code execution. So it's just one of those things. Until we start writing homebrew that, like, you know, plays with your credit card numbers, most people aren't going to care about security and writing reasonably decent code. Yeah, you see, this isn't just for me, though. I'm going to push this to a Git repository that lots of people are using and looking at, and that worries me a bit. But there's nothing wrong with this code, technically. That's the best thing. Am I going to have to worry about endianness? Endianniness? How do you even pronounce that? I actually forgot whether the arm is big endian or not. I'm pretty sure it is, but it might not be, and that would be a problem. So if the magic doesn't work, we'll just swap the bytes. Okay, so we have to copy this lot in over here, so we're all fairly consistent and all that. Is that mapped? Yeah, I know ARM is usually little endian, but I'm pretty sure in this case specifically it's big. Don't hold me to that. Where are we? Let's just look it up. We ARM endian. Just use a palette. Oh, hey, that's not a bad idea, you know? I think that would But would that work with endian swaps? Don't they? Isn't it not quite palindromic? It like swaps in 16 bits and then 32 bits. Yeah, have a look. At least in the Wii, the ARM is big endian to help with compatibility with the PowerPC. So yeah, I'm going to assume that the Wii and the Wii U are mostly the same because it runs in, you know, hardware compatibility mode. So we can dream. All right, I'm going to assume this location is accessible, and we're just going to write to it, and if it crashes, we'll see that it crashes, and that. Oh, I don't even need to check it. We did the checking on the other side. Wait, no, we don't. Okay, I am going to check the string length first. Profile ndx.kernel command. I was expecting this to be a lot harder, by the way, because I thought we would actually have to do the, like, properly parse the binary to insert the command line, which is what you're meant to do. If you have a look at this main.c, you can see that it says, oh, this buffer may be edited by tools. The buffer is put in its own section so that tools may locate it easier, right? So I'm meant to be modifying the binary while I load it, but I sort of brainstormed how it would work before I started here, and I'm like, it would have been messy. It would have been really messy. But this is a really nice workaround, and I'm happy that I spotted it just while looking through the code, that we can just have this edit command line function. All right, so if we have a kernel command line that's at least one character, we will string copy it to command line location. Actually, we'll make it a string copy just to be safe. Okay, and then we need to set the canary value. So to help with that, we have this lovely macro called write32 that deals with all the weird and wonderful intricacies of accessing memory on ARM. If I'm not careful and I just use the value of a pointer trick, where you go like, you have some pointer and you just say value of the pointer equals something else, it will actually crash. I'm not sure why, but that's why you got to use write32 for everything. Just a little note about how this works in at least in Linux Loader. So we need to write to the canary lock. We need to write the canary magic. And with any luck, that should be enough. That should work. Oh man, are we actually like ready to test this? Again, I thought this would take significantly longer. Alright, we're starting well. Makes integer from pointer without cast. That's fair. Multi-character character constant. That's one of the best errors I've ever gotten. Look at this. Multi-character character constant. Right, so the thing I did didn't compile. It was worth a shot. So let's just pick a value. I don't know. OX babe Biab Babe Bieber. I guess no, it has to involve cafe. There you go. Cafe Fiac. The way of champions to deal with NDNS problems. And we'll have to change that over here as well to OX Cafe Fiac. Wait, no, it will be Cafe Fecker. What am I saying? It's got to be Cafe Fecker. So each byte on its own is the same. It might be something a bit different to that, but I don't really care. If it breaks, we'll change it by hand. All right. What else do I need to fix? Integer from pointer without cast. That is fair. Why does it have an integer as the first argument to write32 anyway? That's silly. Well, you know what? Because I'm only using it in one place, I'll just fix the cast. And expected long unsigned int, but argument is of type unsigned int. So I might remove the cast altogether and just let the compiler do its own thing. And that should be good to go now. Huzzah! It has compiled. So let's test it. There is a bus outside my house, and it's been there for like 5 minutes, and it makes this noise. There you go, it just left. Okay, it probably wasn't quite 5 minutes. Alrighty, let's give this a go. So we're gonna have the. What am I doing? This is the wrong folder. Let's copy the new firmware image, and we're also going to have to compile a new version of Linux, which might take a really long time. So if you want to talk about something, if you want to like get my opinion on something or whatever, start thinking about it now, because compiling Linux will probably take upwards of 10 minutes. So lots of time to talk. Anyway, and in Linux, boot.config. Oh, it opened it in Sublime Text. That's fine. Yeah, that kernel command line's fine. I don't have a problem with that. So that should be good to go. Let's eject that, and we can't test it until we've compiled Linux. Woohoo! Woohoo! Just my laptop, which has got Docker in it. I do have access to a remote VM with a couple of Xeons in it. I only got access to that recently, so I haven't really integrated it into my workflow. But we could give that a shot. But yeah, I'm just using my laptop at the moment. What's the command that shows you all the stats? I remember it had a really strange name. I don't know. It's not a very good laptop. So, yeah, a Pentium at 1.6 gigahertz. I believe the VM has 2 gigahertz Xeons. Don't hold me to that. But yeah, we could do that if we wanted to. But there's only 2 of them. So it might be faster to not do that? I don't know. We will see. Alright, what am I doing? Well, do we want to try the VM, or do we want to just compile it here? I don't have any of the code on the VM at the moment, but you know, I can fix that. And the compilers, we don't have to worry about the compilers because I have a Docker image with everything in it, and I'm pretty sure it's got devkit arm anyway. So yeah, okay, that would be helpful actually. But how would I get the code to you? Because we changed this, right? No, I'm going to try it on that VM. I mean, I have it for a reason, so I may as well try and use it. So yeah, this will be interesting. We'll give this a shot, hey? We'll give this a shot. Let me see if I remember the URL. Hey! Alright. So I only got access to this recently. It's not actually mine. A mate has just given me an account on his one. So, yeah. Does it have Git? It does have Git. Okay. So, yeah, this will be interesting to see how all this works. Whoa! Okay. Wait, that was Loader. That wasn't Wii U. I was like, that is too fast. Okay. Okay, that's better. That's better. Oh man, that's so fast. That's I usually have a connection that gets up to 2 MIB at most. So having this just go at 15 is sort of blowing my mind a little. Okay. Oh, right, we'll have a quick look at the CPU info for the nerds among us. So yeah, it's a 2.4 gig Xeon, but there's only 2 of them. So I'm not sure how that compares to my quad-core, but significantly slower Pentium. It's probably... The winning ball is probably in the Xeon's court. So now I just have to magic my updated file over to the machine. So if we change to code... Yeah, well, I live in Australia. This is what we deal with. you can't really see this over the VNC because it's awful anyway, but there's actually like a few seconds delay whenever I type something in this. It's pretty good today, but usually it's pretty bad and it's really hard to use. So even the SSH connection has trouble. Anyway, what were we doing? We were copying Wii U.c to the remote. That was easy. Did that actually work? No. Did it just make a file with that name? It did just make a file with that name. That's kind of funny. How do I do this again? Yeah, but we're running in a virtual machine, so it's entirely possible that they've restricted how many cores we have access to. I was working on the fact that there is 2 entries in proc CPU info. You can see we have processor 0, and down here we have processor 1. So there's no processor 2. So I'm thinking it's only a dual core, at least in the virtual machine. At least in the virtual machine. How does STP work again? I've genuinely forgotten. Right, :file. Got you. Wii U.c. Did that work this time? It did. Okay. Move Wii U.c over to code Linux Wii U Arch PowerPC boot. So if we nano, let's just change it to the code folder, cd code Linux Wii U. Arch PowerPC boot Wii U.c Wii U.c. Come on. And this is our modified version. Awesome. So we should be good to compile. I believe this has Docker on it. Hopefully it has Docker. It does have Docker in it. Okay. So am I in the Docker group? I might not be. With any luck, we will be. No, I'm not. Okay, that's fine. Wait. I've got a different password on here. I'm really surprised that my mate gave me root access. It was a little silly of him, but hey, I'm not going to complain. Why do 3/4 of the layers already exist? What has he been doing on here? Okay, awesome. Yeah, he gave me root. I was really confused. There was some locale issue, and he didn't want to fix it himself, so he just gave me root to fix it, and he never revoked it. He also has put, before I convinced him to give me my own account, he put my SSH key into his account's authorized keys. So a bit odd, but hey, I don't mind. He's a good mate. He has access to silly amounts of my stuff too, so we're sort of based on mutual trust, I suppose. Anyway. Wait. So yeah, Linux Wii U. So yeah, one of the purposes of getting access to this VM was I wanted to be able to, oh yeah, it's great. But yeah, I wanted to be able to bounce connections. I wanted to be able to bounce an SSH connection through it so that I can access the computer that I'm currently using to stream under my desk remotely, because I can't do that because I'm behind a NAT and I don't have access to the NAT settings. So yeah, I can actually bounce connections through this using some of the really strange features of SSH. Like, SSH doesn't just do shells, it can also do, like, ports, like network ports. You can tunnel network ports between computers, which is actually really useful, because then you can use one SSH session to tunnel a network port to another machine, and then through that tunneled port, you can have another SSH session, right? So it basically allows you to get around NATs, and once you've gotten around a NAT, you can rule the world, as they say. So, alrighty, we should just be able to compile this. Now we only have 2 cores, so I'm going to use J3. This will be really interesting. Wait. What am I doing? Oh, Hamachi is disgusting. I really don't like Hamachi. Although, admittedly, I could never get it to work, so maybe that's just me. Ba-da-boo-boo-boo. Alright, I'm curious to see how fast this goes. Yeah, I was never able to get it to work properly, so... Okay, this compile is going quite fast indeed. Clearly my mate's not using it right now. But yeah, I've never been able to get it to work, to be honest. So, you know. I did try it back when I was using Windows as a main OS, but yeah, there's better options. If you're on Linux, as I said, you can use SSH. I'm not sure if that works on Windows as well. It probably doesn't. It might work under the sort of bash on Windows sort of thing. Oh, I'm receiving a phone call from my dad, so I better answer that. I'll just mute the mic for a bit. And I guess you can watch the compiling happen. Woohoo! I am back. I had to put some meat on the bench so we can eat tonight. But yeah, I'm going to have family showing up in about half an hour, so I'm going to stop the stream at 5 o'clock, or 17 o'clock if you're looking at the clock on my laptop. And yeah, but I mean, I planned on stopping it then anyway. But I'm actually surprised we may actually have this feature done and pushed off to GitLab by then. So I think this has been pretty productive all round. Considering it's only been 3 hours. Ah, man, even with a faster machine, this takes so long. I should do a side-by-side comparison later. Because my Pentium is a newer architecture, and it can do more things at once, because it's got 4 cores. It just does them slower. So, I don't know. This will be an interesting to do later. You never know. Yeah. I don't know. I would like to minimize the amount of compiling I do on my laptop though, because I've got everything as Oh, I've got plenty of old machines available. Oh, the phone's going off again. I'll be back in a moment. Sorry about that. It was a strange number. It started with 07. I'm not sure what state that's from. Australian phone numbers only have 2-digit area codes. Oh man, how many? Don't they have to be identical to make a decent cluster? Yeah, I've got a few old machines available, but only like 2 of them are actually in fully working order at any given time. I've got a Windows 98 machine under the table, which I can actually stream if I want to, because it has a composite video output. So I can capture it and stream it. And I also have an old iBook G4, which I've actually used to make the Debian root FS that you can download off Linux Loader. Right? It actually has proven useful. Which is quite funny. But yeah, I have a few other machines. The Windows 98 one's a Pentium 3. Anyway, so yeah, I've got old machines, but yeah, I don't think I've got enough to make a cluster. No, I've got just an old iBook G4. I got it mailed to. I bought it off eBay. At the end of 2016, I had grand plans of writing a... Wait, I shouldn't actually say that because I might still do it and I don't want people to get hyped. Screw it. Nobody's going to watch 2.5 hours. Yeah, my iBook has a... Well, okay, actually, I can't say that my iBook still holds a charge because I replaced the cells in the battery. So it doesn't really count, does it? I actually tweeted a picture while I was doing it of the cells that came from it. They were pretty bad. But I found after replacing it, I couldn't get the case back together. It was so tightly packed in there. But yeah, a Pentium 2 laptop, hey? I really love old laptops like that sort of time period. I'm going to guess it's an IBM ThinkPad, right? That would make sense. I don't think many other people made laptops around that time. I guess Compaq did as well. It's finished compiling, by the way. Okay. I really love old ThinkPads. They have such a nice design to them, especially with the blue and the chunky. It's pretty good. All right, how am I going to copy this back home? SCP. An actually good keyboard. Did they not have chiclets? Or is it just a really good chiclet? Code Linux Wii U /arch power PC boot dtb image.wiiu new dtb.wiiu. Okay. Alright, here it comes. You can see the wonderful Australian internet speed there, 500k a second in this case. Oh no, we got up to 1 meg at the end there. There you go. It's just so variable down here. You know, it depends, like, just minute to minute, it changes so much. Anyway, alright, so I actually have the DTB image. There it is. Really? How do can I make it not do that? I have the chat open. I can put you in timeout, apparently. Thanks, YouTube. Maybe if I do that, is that a bit better? I don't know. Sorry. Okay. Well, I should have been on the live chat anyway, and not on the other one. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, we'll fiddle around with it later. I need to get a moderator, but that would also require finding someone who's willing to hang around on these streams. Honestly, no, I don't really need one. There's not enough people who watch at any given time. Okay, let's copy this thing over. Let's do this. Did I copy the new firmware image? I don't know, I'm gonna copy it anyway, just in case. Okay, so where are we? We should be mounting the Wii U. Go to Linux loader, copy the firmware image, copy, paste, overwrite. And now we go find Linux Wii U, Arch PowerPC, not here, boot. Wait. Okay. My mouse is acting really weird lately. Let's get the new DTB, and we're going to use this as an opportunity to make use of this. We're going to make use of our new features right here. Alright, so with any luck, we should have this as our kernel command line, and it should be very obvious, because I added the canary bit in there. Drumroll, fingers crossed, drumroll please. Oh, wait, crud. This still has a loop in it, doesn't it? It does. Gotta remove that, so it will actually start the kernel, instead of not starting the kernel. Where are we? Oh, okay, I went through too many folders. I'm kind of excited for this. This is gonna work, man. This is gonna work. I know I'm jinxing myself by saying that, but I really think we've got this one set. All right, here we go. Let me just get. No, don't get rid of that. Put that back. Put that back. I can't manage OBS sometimes. Get rid of that. That's better. Yeah, I didn't see anything wrong. Everything compiled. The only thing I can think of is that maybe the memory area we put the kernel command line in isn't mapped on the ARM side, and we have to manually map it. But other than that, it should be good. So let's try this. Yeah, drum roll. Alright, it booted the kernel. Alright, let's see if it should have listed the kernel command line somewhere on screen. Oh, maybe it hasn't. I could have sworn there's supposed to be it's supposed to print the kernel command line in that panic section. But I don't see it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the rootfs and we'll just boot the thing. So, yeah, we'll do that. Alright. Attempt the second, I've actually got the rootfs plugged in, so hopefully we should be able to, yeah, see that. I can make words. Alright, here we go. I've got a USB keyboard as well. The Broadcom chip is the Bluetooth. So technically we have the network up and running, but it's through the Bluetooth, and nobody seems to want to use that. Alright, here comes Debian. Alright, so what is it? What do I have to cat? Is it proc command line? Alright, this is the drum roll time. Hang on, no, it didn't work. Damn it! You know, this is nearly impossible to debug as well, right? Like, where's curb your enthusiasm when you need it. You know? One of those moments. Well, it does have networking, but it's so early in the boot that I doubt it will have actually lasted this long. I mean, I guess we can try. Maybe we'll get lucky. But, yeah. Alright. Let's keep trying. I guess because it is... we put it so high up in memory, it technically might still be there. So, do I have devmem2 on this? What the heck? Apparently I don't. No, I do have devmem2. Oh, it's just probably just called a.out. So, we can actually read arbitrary addresses with this program, which is pretty cool. 892.0.0.0.0. And there is something there, but I can't read it. It's certainly not cafe, though. What did we say it needed to be? Cafe something? It doesn't look like ASCII either. Let's try 4. Now that looks like ASCII. So we can decode that. Geez, it's really hard to see, though. So it looks like it is... yeah, we did set Cafe Fecker, something like that, but you can see the first time I ran it, it's ended in 4.9, so that's wrong. But the second time I ran it, which is where the command line's supposed to be, you can see that does look a lot more like ASCII. So it may have actually copied in the command line. So let's just have a look at that. That's that 6D. It's either 5D or 6D. I'm just going to write this down. 5D 6.2. Is that a 5 or it's really hard to tell the difference between 5s and 6s. Hang on a second. Linux change console font size. You reckon? Actually, I know what I can do. I know what we can do to fix this. If I start an X server, which, contrary to popular belief, you can just install from the Debian repos. I don't know why people think that doesn't work. Okay. It's supposed to just work. Okay. Yeah, you can just install a X server from the Debian repos, and it does just work. Oh. You still can't get Bluetooth working? I've had no problems with it. What is going on here? Okay, attempt 2. Yeah, it is a bit fiddly, but I've never had problems. I've never been unable to get it running. So I don't know. But yeah, we do need to get proper networking working. There is a possibility of what the problem might be. There was a patch carried over from the Wii days that I think we may have disabled because it added like oh yeah, apt offline is just horrific. But yeah, it added like a it had like a 250 nanosecond sleep. No, microsecond, not nanosecond. It had a 250 microsecond sleep on every access of the Bluetooth device, which was ridiculous. Like, so I'm pretty sure we turned that off, but that may have been the problem. Okay, there's something going wrong here with the X server. Maybe I didn't turn it off properly. Oh, here we go. Don't know what I just changed, but it fixed it. So here's... yeah, it's just so frustrating. And because we don't have any... because we don't have any... oh, crud. Because we don't have any documentation, we don't know why it was there, right? Have I misspelt merge? There we go. So we don't know why it's there, and there's not really much we can do. So this is much more readable. Yeah, I guess we can try and find the original developers. Oof. Now, I think that's a different value to what we had before. I think these values have changed. So what did you say it was? 5D626755. Alright, I'm going to look up an ASCII table, and I'm going to go off the value you told me, because I guess we were too slow, and Linux has used the page for something else. Which can happen. Well, the point is, it looks like ASCII, so I'm just going to translate that. I've got a table open here. So the first character is, if you reckon it's 5D, just let me scroll up a little. Yeah, 5D is an open bracket. It's a closed square bracket. It's that. Then 6.2 is a B. Then 6.7 is a G, and 6.5 is an E. So you reckon it's one of these two, and neither of those are the kernel command line I gave it. So yeah, something's gone a little bit wrong here, and we may not be able to. Crud, what am I doing? What am I doing? That's better. Yeah, neither of those are what we asked for, so great. Wonderful. What are we doing? What do you mean? We are trying to get the custom kernel command line to work. So we have copied. We'll have to review the code. Oh, I see. No, I didn't catch that. I didn't catch it. All right. So back to the laptop. Let's try and figure out what's going on here. No, that's fair. That's fine. I'm gonna move that back up. That was a mistake. There you go. Okay. What has gone wrong here? Okay, so our mapping might be broken. So this address might not actually be accessible after all. But I do put it in a bat. 892.7FF. It looks fine. It does look fine. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna not actually do string copy. Do we have access to sprintf? Or just some kind of formatter? What's a backwards mem copy for? We do have access to some sort of. It's a VA list version though. That's not very helpful. Oh no, we have an sprintf. Okay, good. So, all right, yeah, no, that's fine. I've only got 10 minutes left before I plan on stopping this anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish off. We're just going to test some stuff, print some variables, you know? So we can actually use the kernel command line to our advantage using sprintf. And yeah, so we should be able to just do that. So we have to still tell it what route to use. But then we can set a bunch of canary values. So we can have a look at different values that we want to see what they're like at early boot time. So yeah, hopefully we can abuse that a little. So right now I want to see what the value of command line canary lock is, and that against command line canary magic. And then I want to see the first character of command line lock. So we'll put that as %C. That should tell us what's going on a bit. And so yeah, we just got to compile Linux again. Luckily we have all the commands I need already in here. Linux Wii U Arch PowerPC boot Wii U.c. Alrighty. Are we still SSH'd into it? Yes. Yeah, this is the Docker, isn't it? Okay. It's running Arch, I believe. Yeah, Arch Linux. So same as me. I also run Arch on mine, so there you go. Apparently they keep it more updated than I do. So that's about what I would have expected. But yeah, my mate is also a big Arch fan, so it makes sense that he would have decided to use that on his VM rather than, you know, some other distro. I mean, what else would he have picked? Debian? He's not much of a Debian guy. He likes the bleeding edge, you know? What do you mean remote? What's a remote Docker host? I'm gonna take that to mean that I can sort of administer the Docker containers remotely instead of having to SSH in first. I mean, I've uploaded my images to a registry. That's about the most Dockery thing I've done so far. Oh, okay. That would be very cool. The thing is, the only port we have open to the outside world in this VM is the SSH port. You know, it is possible that we didn't actually load the image. Let's just delete that. Okay. I will have to look into that later then, because that would be really, really useful to have, because it means I don't have to worry about, you know, I can access those dual core Xeons without having to worry about, you know, a slow SSH connection. And can you mount volumes on a remote container? Can you do that? Or would I have to use like a Git repo or something? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd have to tunnel them over an SD, not an SD. What am I saying? I'd have to tunnel it over over an SSH. Okay, so I've just ran the I've just ran it, and I have found out that we'll just have a look at this. Just have a look at this. I just ran my newly compiled version, and you'll see that it actually failed to load the new kernel, and that's because I used freaking heck. Okay. So this is like the third time today I've used SD/ instead of SDMC/. And I'm kicking myself that it keeps on happening. Oh, my transform is different for the chat. Whatever. Alright, let me fix that config file. That's frustrating. IPOAC. Well, that's another thing for me to look up later, hey. Okay, ready? Okay. That just sucks. That's so annoying. IPOAC. What's AC? Okay, I'm up. I get the IPO bit. Oh, I see. Oh, hey, Maschel. You have caught me 3 minutes before I plan on stopping this stream, just so you know. So yeah, but hey. Okay, thank God that actually worked. What do you mean can't find SDA1? I definitely have SDA1 plugged in. Oh, maybe I don't. What? Oh, we don't have root weight. We don't have root weight. Nah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, so CompuCat, because you know where we were at, that SDMC thing means that these changes I made didn't actually carry over. So I'm going to put that back to the old code, which we thought didn't work, and we're going to try it again. But yeah, Maschel, basically what we're doing is implementing config files. You're caught right at the tail end of it, where we have already implemented pretty much everything. We're just trying to get the kernel command line to change based on what's in the config file. So, for Linux Wii U. So I was just doing some debugging stuff, because we can't frigging write things properly. You know how many times I used SD on the start of my paths, right? Because that's what you instinctively do from the PowerPC, because that's what you're used to. Well, guess what? On the ARM side, it's SDMC : just to mess with everything. So there's been like significant numbers of problems I've had purely because I wrote the wrong I wrote the wrong path. That's just my gripe. I'm going to complain about that to several other people once we're done here. I might even change it back to SD, because it's technically, you know, my code, so I can technically change it. Alright, moment of truth. This will actually boot the modified kernel this time. I would sort of expect it to not work, because we don't have root weight in there, so it's not going to wait for the USB drive to be detected, so it's probably going to kernel pretty much it's probably going to panic pretty much straight away. But that at least tells us that it's somewhat working. Alright, it's basically 5 o'clock now, and I'm supposed to finish up, so we will get this working and call it quits. Okay, that has done exactly what I expected it to. If we have a look with my red line, you can see here it's listed all the block devices it knows about, and you'll see we have 2 RAM disks and the SD card and no USB. So that means it just hasn't waited around for the USB to be detected. You can see there isn't actually any USB detection messages in this log here, so it's just impatient. You're impatient, Linux. So if, and that's a big if this has worked, we should be able to change the command line on the in the config file, right, to have root weight in it, and how it will actually boot. So let's do that. We'll leave the canary in there. Oh, Maschel, just, you'll note we have done changing of the kernel path. That was pretty easy. Alright, what was I doing? Oh, I don't need to recompile anything. We only changed a config file. Alrighty, here we go. Moment of truth number. How many moments of truth have we had so far? I don't know. This is ridiculous. It just keeps happening. Alright, here we go. If it actually boots into Debian, then we'll be done. I'll stop the stream and I'll push it onto Git. and we can all die happy that we actually achieved this. So yeah, get your drum rolls happening. Cross your fingers. Do whatever you need to do. Yes! Ha ha! Oh my god. It works! It booted Debian, people. Alright, let's check for that canary. Let's check for that canary. Start X. Start X. Just start X. And so we can get the big terminal and we can look at that canary. It's alright. It's alright, X. Just do it. Come on. Oh my goodness. I can't believe that worked. I think I have to remove X authority. Yeah, okay. Oh my goodness. That actually worked. Wow. Okay, so our wonderful little hack to do with, you know, what did we do? You were supposed to edit the binary and we abused a function that's supposed to let the user edit their own kernel command line. We did that to insert one from the config file instead of asking the user to edit it. Come on. Linux is silly sometimes. And that actually worked. And here we are with a customizable kernel command line. I just want to check for the canary. Alright, can we just do that, please? Awesome. Alright, here we go. So I just got to set the terminal up. Okay, here we go. Alrighty. Oh my goodness. Look at that sweet, sweet canary. Ladies and gentlemen, we've done it. That's that. Okay, wow. This is really good. I'm really happy with this. I can't believe that worked. Yeah, absolutely. We're tweeting this. We are tweeting this right now. Think of something to say, because there's going to be a bit of stream delay. But here we go. Hang on, I gotta get my full screen projector up on my stream box, and we can go. Alright, my phone's recording, but look at that. We have a customized kernel command line with a canary in it. What do we want to say to the tweetverse, people? I can't believe that worked. Oh, the irony, the canary is tweeting. I love it. That's great. So yeah, we have this in a config file. Just give me a moment. I'm just going to put this down. Mount. I'm just going to mount the SD card so you, Twitter people, can look at the config file too. Ah. Alright, Twitterverse. We are in the SD card right now, and you can see boot.cfg down there. So if we have a look at that, you can see there is the kernel command line in an INI configuration file. And that is what got actually applied to the real thing. Can I get out of... It's not supposed to be hard to quit Nano, damn it. Alright, there we go. You can see that actually got applied. So yeah. Oh my god, that only took 3 hours. Alright, there you go, Twitterverse, enjoy. That was probably a lot longer than it should have been. I probably should try that again, but I don't care at this point. I'm just happy that it worked. And we haven't had any problem. It works, man, it works. Okay, so we're gonna push that to a branch. How do I push things? How do I do that again? Right, yeah, git command line. Alright, okay. Alright, Ash, hold it together. Sorry, this has been on my mind for ages, trying to get this working. So I'm really happy that it's actually done, right? And we're good to go. We're good to go. So I'm gonna. Okay, I think my family are home, so I'm gonna stop the stream for now, and I'll push these to Git. But damn, this is amazing. I'll see you guys later next time. I don't know when we'll do this again. Probably next time I have some burning thing to do. But yeah, I'll see you guys around. All right. Thanks, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Maschel, if you want to watch the whole 3 hours, the archive should come up soon. Although I do think that's probably a waste of time. But yeah. Oh my god, that worked. Alright, yeah, sorry.